Well, what do we have here? We got a bunch of parts and pieces because that is how typically CKF Knives, Custom Knife Factory, sends their stuff. And I really appreciate that about all of their knives. I love and am a big fan of CKF knives. I have bought a bunch over the years. I've owned several. I don't own any right now. There are a couple that I would like to own. There's one that I kind of wished I didn't sell, the CKF Muscle. I loved that knife. Other than the pocket clip on the Muscle was like a toothpick, and it just kind of bugged me. It just never sat well with me. So this is the Tiger Flipper knife designed by Michel Gavac, who is also known by Gavco Knives. And they have a nice plastic certificate of authenticity from CKF Knives always. They always do limited runs. This is number 87. They often do like anywhere from 200 to 400 of a particular model, and that's it. Now, this is the first one that I've ever received that has money in it. I don't know what this is worth. I don't know. And it's not my deal anyway, because this belongs to Professor EDC. He made a deal here in the States. Professor EDC, if you're not aware, you should know. He's an awesome dude, and he lives down in Mexico. And we've had him on the EDC Hour with Dirk and Alex before, and we had an awesome time. And so please go check that out. I'll put a link at the end over to that channel because we're really trying to grow that channel. And there will be links to Professor EDC's channel as well, because he's an awesome dude and become a very good friend. We talk all the time. So he made a deal and bought this knife and another CKF knife from somebody here in the States, asked them if they would mind sending it to me first so that I could talk about it. And it's just easier. A lot of times there's a bit of a hassle shipping into Mexico. So oftentimes Professor EDC, people that he buys from don't really like to deal with that necessarily. And so he just has stuff sent to me, which is totally fine. I can absolutely be your middleman. Okay. So CKF always gives you like a complete set of hardware. Like they give you a new lock bar, steel lock bar insert. They give you a whole new pivot, all new screws, all new bearings, washers, everything. I've carried knives for a long time. They even give you an additional pocket clip, which again is just like the normal pocket clip. It's the same pocket clip, but they give you a spare. The pocket clip I can kind of understand, and we'll just give you a close-up while I ramble for a minute. It's a Tonto blade, M390. Really nicely finished belt satin with kind of a stonewash on the flats. I can appreciate them giving you an extra pocket clip because there have been times where I've gotten out of the car, the pocket clip has gotten snagged on something and bent to the point where I have not been able to unbend it, and I've needed a new clip, right? So that has happened to me. So I'm good with them including another pocket clip. I have never once needed a new set of bearings. I have never once needed a new lock bar insert. I have never needed any of that stuff. And tell me down below if you guys have ever needed that stuff. It's cool that they give you a patch and a sticker and all that stuff too. But have you guys ever needed a new pivot? I get it. You might need a new screw here if you take it apart and you strip something out. That's cool. Do you need a whole new pivot? Do you need a whole new set of bearings? Do you need a lock bar insert? Like, that's my big question. Like, I don't know that you're going to open and close your knife enough that you're going to wear out that lock bar insert. Like, come on. But they give it to you. So that's cool. I'm not begrudging that fact. What they include, I think that's cool. All right, let's go over a couple of the specs on this thing. I don't know. Do you guys like the specs? Do you want to read about the specs in the description? Do you not want me to talk about specs at all? I don't know. Let me know down below. 4 5/8 closed, 8 3/8 overall, 3.84-inch blade, 0.157 blade thickness. This one's in M390, as I stated before. Overall thickness is 0.461. Runs on bearings, as you saw, and weighs in at 4.3 ounces. It works really good in the pocket. The clip looks like it's a little bit tight, but it actually works well because there's no real... It's very sloped. The clip is very rounded, so there's not any ledges to hang up in your pockets or anything like that. And it just rides nice because it's fairly narrow. I like this knife. The detent could be a little stronger for me personally. It's not going to fall out. Don't even know if I could shake it out. Let me try over here. Nope. I cannot shake it open, so it's not light enough to cause a problem. I personally just like more of a medium detent, and I would call this one a light detent. My RJ Martin, for example, is a heavy detent, but it's going to fire. You just have to get your finger right and whatnot. I had to learn how to open this knife. So I think there's a learning curve with every knife that you buy because the detents are always different. And in some makers and some manufacturers, we'll just run through some size comparisons here with the Sharpie. Like the Sebenza, for example, every single one I have ever picked up, new, used, whatever, it's always been the exact same action and feel. They just do a fantastic job. Kubi also, very similar on every Kubi that I've ever picked up. Now, every Medford I've ever picked up is totally different and difficult to deal with until it's broken in. So every maker's a little bit different. This is the custom Hellraiser. And since I haven't pulled this guy out in a few minutes, how about the Sharknivko Ryu? God, I love this knife. It's very cool. And I love Edison and his wife. Just a great addition and member of the knife community. So, I don't know. Where was I going with the action? I think when you buy a new knife that you're unfamiliar with, you have to get used to the action because it's going to be different. This is very different action than this $60 Kubi. Where you place your finger, the pressures needed, it's always very different with every new knife. And I don't have a problem with that. Some are going to be light, some are going to be heavy, and you just decide if you want to keep it or not. So I think this is a cool knife. I think knowing Professor like I do, I think he's going to really like it. I love the blue anodizing with the black hardware and the stonewash flats here. I think is very cool. Is this a knife for me in my collection? No, not really. It doesn't. I wouldn't rush out and buy one, but that's just me. Again, a lot of what you're going to hear on the channel is my personal feelings about something. Yeah, I'm going to give you the specs and some dimensions and some stuff, which, yeah, we can't really argue that. But how it feels in my hand, how it feels in my pocket, how I perceive the action, that's just my opinion. And that's going to be the next videos that you watch from whatever other reviewer or YouTuber. They're going to have their own opinions also. And that's why I recommend you watch a lot of other people's channels so that you can take all those opinions, the 10 opinions on this knife, and then sort of formulate your own. I think, for me, I got used to and I liked certain people before I started on YouTube, and I connected with them. Jim Skelton is one, and things like that. So if he liked something, generally, I liked it myself because I tried a few, and yeah, we have very similar tastes. And now that we've become actually friends and we talk a lot, we have a lot more in common and taste-wise than we thought we did. So, I don't know. Kind of went off there. The CKF Tiger Flipper knife from Gavco. Thanks, guys.